Lasers, lasers, and more lasers. Yep, it is going to be another Homelander-centric Fatal Friday video. Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor. And this Fatal Friday, I'm highlighting another video where Homelander was taken into the Kombat League to try and get one of his unique finishers. This time around, the finisher being highlighted is going to be his This Is Your Fault Fatality. And as I implied from the very beginning, it's going to involve lasers, like pretty much all the other things that Homelander does. And those lasers are going to be pretty plentiful in this matchup I have against somebody using Kenshi in the Kombat League, because this was one of my earlier matches as Homelander. I'd only played 11 matches as him prior to this matchup. By the time I was done with all of Homelander's finishers and using him to also get some cameo finishers, I think I had played like 65 sets in the Kombat League as that character. So for this to only be set number 12 with him, I was definitely still figuring him out. Which meant at times, whenever the combos just were not working out for me because my timing was off whenever doing them, I often had to resort to a game of keep away, just lasering them from a distance, and forcing them to come to me. And this set against Kenshi in the Kombat League was definitely one of those scenarios, because I definitely had opportunities for really good combos, but I dropped almost every single one of them. And it really all came down to Homelander's diabolical dash. I would get some sort of a hit or a combo and then cancel into the dash, but more often than not I would screw up the uppercut that would send the opponent flying and then keep the combo going. Or I would just get the uppercut to get them into the air, but fail to keep it going while airborne. In the background, we just saw one of the very few examples of me completing one of those combos all the way to the very end for decent damage, but that unfortunately did not happen very often. That makes this a pretty good example of my early on struggles using Homelander. As time went on, I definitely got a lot better with the character, and it definitely shows in some of the videos I'll have later on that were much later after I got more used to using him. But yeah, this was a good example of me still figuring things out, and it ended up resulting in a pretty close match against Kenshi. Like right there, I just had 2 hits on Kenshi. I could have canceled into the diabolical dash and got a decent combo off of it, and I probably would have won the round off of that alone, but instead I ended up dropping the combo, and the round goes on as a result. Now I do end up eventually winning this round, so not the biggest deal in the world, but because there are a lot of different opportunities like that that I did not take advantage of, my mistakes end up making all of this a lot closer than it probably should have been. Here in the third and final round of this match, I do not really have to worry about dropping my opportunities. They are a little bit too scarce to come by because I end up basically just living in this corner for the majority of the round. Like, I'm going to be completely transparent, I do not end up winning this very first match of the set, and this third round, it goes about as poorly as it could possibly go. Like, Kenshi easily could have been just racking up really big combos against me because I was just completely stuck. Now that does not happen, but he definitely could have. But even without some crazy combos, Kenshi still ends up finishing the match with an exclamation point.
Didn't have to end like this. Brutality. Kenshi wins.
Another useless fucking blind guy.
Useless. I'll show you useless. Take 1. Action.
So yeah, me playing as Homelander resulted in the very first match concluding with Frost ripping off his head. No denying that could have gone a little bit better. Fortunately, things do improve here in the second match. Not immediately because I still end up not doing amazing against Kenshi, but I at least keep it close enough to where the fight is not out of hand. With that being said, the very first round of this second match, it really does come down to the wire. At this point in the round, everything was pretty close with both of us still being around 50% health, but I eventually find myself stuck in the opposite corner. Considering how poorly that went for me in the previous match, I was desperate to try and get out of there. And while it took me a while and also losing a good amount of my health, I did eventually manage to escape. And then Kenshi and Homelander were just hopping across the screen and I eventually remembered, oh yeah, my fatal blow works whenever I am in the air.
I am the Homelander. Take 2. Action.
Very fortunately for me, I managed to catch Kenshi mid-jump with my fatal blow to close out the very first round. Overall, it may not have been a very graceful victory in that round, but I still have the advantage for the rest of the match. I just need one more round and then everything is going to be tied up in the set. Next up, I would say the majority of the damage that I managed to deal to Kenshi all comes from armored attacks. It does not happen every single time Kenshi knocks me down, but a good amount of the time I'm just waking up and using that armor to get some damage against him. Beyond that though, I just resort to my usual tactics whenever I'm not 100% sure what to do. I just frequently throw my opponent, or in the case of me using Homelander, I go airborne or get as far away as I can and just keep using the lasers. I'm very glad this was not a long-term thing for me because I really don't like zoning out my opponent all that much. And I do eventually get better at the combos, but at the time, that was really the best option I had to try and win because I was not very confident in my ability to convert those combos. And in the end, I take advantage of a gap in the combo that Kenshi was doing and I armored my way through it. I just managed to survive his attack and deal enough damage to Kenshi to win the second round and the entire second match. Now everything in the set is tied 1-1 and it's going down to a third and final match. The winner of the next one is going to be the person who wins everything. And while that third and final match is underway in the background, I guess I should take a moment to actually talk about the fatality I intend to highlight. So like with all the guest characters, their finishers are references to the source material that they are pulled from. Homelander is no different. His finishers can pretty much all be traced back to the boys in one way or another. And some of them are really distinctive, like his other fatality has him going up into the sky and killing the opponent using an airplane and then causing the airplane to crash as a result. And that is a reference to a scene in Season 1 of The Boys when, well, Homelander is partially responsible for causing a plane to crash or at least not doing anything to stop it. And that was just all in an effort to make sure that publicly he was not viewed negatively. So may as well just remove any idea that there might have been a mistake on his part. So that one's really easy to point out. The problem is this fatality, the "this is your fault" fatality, it is another finisher of his that just has him beating the opponent using his lasers. And that's something he does quite a bit in The Boys, so it's kind of hard to distinguish which of the many different laser murders this is supposed to be a reference to. They kind of all just blend together after a while, so I really couldn't tell you, and I've seen every season of the show. So yeah, we have more laser murder mayhem on the way, but for right now, I still have to win this match, which is not looking great considering Kenshi took the very first round. It took a couple of attempts, but he did eventually land his fatal blow against me. I guess he finally realized I was using my armored wake up quite a bit, and he manages to avoid getting hit by it towards the very end, and while I'm still recovering from that attack, he used the fatal blow, and well, here we are. I now find myself in a situation where I need to win back-to-back rounds, or else I'm going to lose the set. And that is not ideal for me getting this fatality because I always wait for the match where I win the entire set against an opponent. After winning that final match and getting the finish him or finish her screen, then I will go for the fatality because I've won all the matches necessary to win the set, and it feels like I actually earned the fatality. So it is really rare to see me going for a fatality after winning just one match. Besides some of my very early videos, that really does not happen anymore. I do not have the same rule whenever it comes to brutalities because those are very opportunistic situations whenever you have to do exactly the right thing to get those brutalities to happen, so I'm not going to limit myself whenever it comes to those. If the opportunity presents itself, I am going to go for that brutality. And after a nail-biter of a second round, I do manage to come out on top. I go for the diabolical dash, I grab Kenshi, I slam him into the ground, and very fortunately for me, I put him into the corner going into the third and final round of the entire set. My intention was to make Kenshi live in that corner like he did to me during the very last round of the first match. Now that did not work out exactly the way I wanted it to. Kenshi being in the corner was advantageous at times, but I could not really consistently keep him there. And in fact, we got into a situation where we were basically trading turns in that corner. Now, having experienced how crappy that was and how much of a disadvantage I was in whenever it happened to me back in that first match, yeah, I was not going to stay there if I could help it. So I do end up fighting my way out of there eventually, and while not an amazing life lead, I did have the life lead, and even though I didn't have like a gigantic advantage, I did have the life lead whenever I got out of that corner. I got far away and I did the thing I've been saying I did the entire time. I just started using lasers as much as I could to keep Kenshi away, and I laser my way to a victory.
Fatality. Homelander wins.
After an excessively laser-filled set against Kenshi, I decide to end it all with a finisher that is very appropriate for that behavior because it is by far the most gruesome and excessive laser finisher that Homelander has to offer. Well, I suppose it's actually maybe a matter of opinion. There are maybe some others that might be more gruesome, so your perspective may vary. Although cinematically, this one just definitely feels like the most over-the-top one, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that. But yeah, that was the This Is Your Fault fatality for Homelander. Struggles aside, we got the victory. Thank you to my random Kenshi opponent from the Kombat League. It definitely was not easy for me picking up the victory, but I enjoyed the fight. And I would go on to do much better with the characters, so it's kind of nice to see the humble beginnings of me figuring out how exactly to use Homelander. But yeah, as we move into the outro, I'll go ahead and say that at the very end of the outro, I'll go ahead and show that fatality one more time. That way we can enjoy it before we part ways on this Fatal Friday. So yeah, I've already done one laser-related brutality for Homelander. I've now done this fatality that is also laser-related. And off the top of my head, I do believe there's one more laser-related brutality, so I hope you enjoyed that laser show. We're not exactly done with it yet. But we have a full rotation of characters before I get back to Homelander, so at least we'll get a little bit of a break from all the lasers. So no worries, your eyes have time to adjust. But yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you for checking out this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other things I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I do have other Mortal Kombat 1 finisher videos just like this. Those can all be found under the Fatal Friday playlists. Those are separated by the years the videos were released. And I have also played through other games as well, like the remakes of Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Then I've also played through the remaster of Crash Bandicoot, and I also played through the remaster of Legacy of Kain: Soul Reaver. So if any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, feel free to check it out. No matter what though, thank you for watching the video for this long, take care, and hopefully I will see you next time.
Fatality. Homelander wins.